Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. This is Andres Soka. Once again, we're joined by our man from Scotland, James Beard. How are you today?
I am very good, thank you, Andre. Looking forward to it, as always.
All right, so, as you all know, even though our man here is from Scotland, we're both in Trinidad Tobago in the Caribbean right now. And some interesting news. I mean, we have lots of news, but the news to talk about right now is Trinidad Tobago knows who they're going to play in their qualifiers for the World Cup. Trinidad Tobago has been drawn with St. Kitts, Guyana, Puerto Rico, and Bahamas in Group F in our rather complicated qualification system. Maybe I should say long qualification system. So, James, what are your immediate reactions to, the teams after they've been announced?
I think when I first saw the group, I was very optimistic, but the longer it's going on with COVID and restrictions with players coming in, I'm starting to now think, well, I think it's going to be a lot tougher than we think, especially obviously with the issues that Trinidad and Tobago's had with the normalisation committee and all these things. So we don't know if we're going to get up and running. I mean, we know the team has been training on and off, but I think it'll be a lot tougher than we expect.
Yeah, with all the factors, and we spoke about this in previous episodes, not playing, not having a regular league in place for the guys to play. A lot of these guys have not been active outside a couple of national training sessions, which that's great. But as you and I know, and anybody who knows about any sort of sport, you have to have playing time, match fitness. And, it is, the Caribbean teams are stepping up. It's not like, 10, 15 years ago where there was a large gap. That is no longer the case. We had players all over Europe, mostly in the UK, spread out, in little sprinkles all over Europe. But, with all factors considered, with the normalization committee, with the coronavirus, with the lack of a league, I also share your sense of caution, with this group because, all these teams, in particular Guyana, is a pretty strong team, and they're getting better with time. And we have not had any way of measuring ourselves to really decide if we're ready or not. And that is a huge concern for me. And, I think if I remember correctly in this group, I'm pulling up while we're speaking here, the top teams, the top team goes through to the second round. So it's another set of games, but I mean, that's far from guaranteed. So, I mean, I don't want to be generic and say, pick a team that will cause us a lot of trouble. But how do you think, Terry is going to approach this, knowing the struggles he's having?
Well, I mean, it's difficult because we don't know, first of all, obviously, how teams have been training. I heard recently that Guyana had not been, just from social media and things, and they're now starting to put things together, which is good for us if that's the case. But Guyana gave us a lot of problems in the past, We could just think back to the last set of games that we had with Guyana, and I think, did they not beat us or draw? I can't even remember, but it was a very tough set of games. Puerto Rico, your guess is as good as mine. I can't really think. I know at one time, obviously, you had Puerto Rico Islanders and these club sides, which obviously boosted their national teams. So I'm not sure how they will be. And you've got Bahamas there now. Everybody will think Bahamas is the whipping boys, but again, we don't know. We just don't know. And a lot of these teams are pulling in players from abroad. They've had a lot of time to think about it during COVID. So I think there'll be a lot of surprises. And then again, you've got St. Kitts and Nevis, which always come with a good squad as well. So we really don't know. It's a anybody's game. I think if you're looking at it from an outside point of view, they'll probably say, yes, Trinidad should win it. But the fact it is just one team, if you drop any points, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and you and I have been around football. I've been watching football for many years to know, the game is not played on paper. We saw in previous years, even in the CFU competitions, where for a while, it was usually Central FC and W Connection, the Trinidad Tobago teams were dominating, and then that started to change a little bit, especially in recent years, where you saw teams really stepping up their preparation, and it was far from a foregone conclusion that we were going to get to the CONCACAF Nations, CONCACAF Champions League. And so that's an indicator that these teams are really stepping things up, even though they're not in this group. Barbados and other teams have made some serious strides in their football development. But, I don't want to dive off too much. We're going to stick with this particular group. A lot of players have expressed their, opinions about, the situation in Trinidad and Tobago, which we'll speak about at another time. But in terms of the actual squad that's available, and then also we'll be playing some of the games at home, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think, it sounds like a very generic question, but do you think with all the problems that we have, that the home advantage would still serve us well, because it hasn't served us well in recent times.
Well, let's be honest. If we can pick the best players we have at our disposal, if they all will play, if we're at home, we should win these games. There's no two ways about it. But like I say, when you start to bring in the local politics and everything that's went on, with the normalisation committee, and then you've also got the fact that some players will be in season, and then you've got COVID and obviously getting the testing and all these things. It obviously will affect Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't think we will be able to probably call on the 100% best team, but I think if we are able to call on a 60 or 70% team, we should have a very good chance of going through. And I know they've been training with a lot of local guys, a lot of younger guys. I know Terry's mandate is he wants to go youth, but he needs the experience in there. I think, for example, Marvin Phillips back with the team training now that he's home. And there's a few other guys, trying to remember the guy that came back from India that's a defender.
Andre Etienne, is it?
Not that one. The one that he was with Caledonia, my brain not working right now, but very good solid defender. He came back, so he's also there. And I think Plaza's there, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got some experience. So it'll be interesting. But I think that especially that Guyana game, that'll be the one that we have to really watch out for. They could be the thorn in our side in a sense,
Yep, and one of the things it's so difficult to really analyze this, because we haven't seen, but obviously due to these extreme conditions, we can't really say what style we're going to see from Terry, because he hasn't had any games to play. His training has been limited because of the times that we live in, and my guess, which is it is my guess and not anyone else's guess, I could be totally wrong, is that he's probably going to bring in as much of the foreign guys as he can, who have been playing at least some sort of football, and at least he has a pool of players to choose from that could be called upon if necessary. I think in a lot of ways, and this is me being very glasses half full here, let's say, God forbid we don't make it out of this group. I think it's an excellent opportunity for Trinidad to really start, stretching their muscles in terms of playing guys and getting some playing time for a lot of these guys. Because, as I said at the beginning, you can train and train and train, but nothing beats, the game. I always was told by a coach before, the game is the best teacher. And a lot of these guys, the highest level they've played is at high school level. And maybe some have played at pro league level at some level, and then it was shut down. So my concern is, are they going to get some competitive football? We'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure, if I know Terry, that he's probably working on that right now to try to get some sort of competitive fixtures, because these games are close. Let me just check the dates real quick. Of course, it's taking forever to come up, of course.
I think you're talking 24th, 25th of March.
Oh, yeah,
that's
the
that's the first one there. But
Yeah,
I think just to answer your question there, I know they've been trying to get a game, for example, even with Tobago, which is funny because it's Trinidad and Tobago, but even just to get competitive matches in. So I think, at a push, they could definitely get a game there. It won't obviously be, no disrespect to Tobago, but on the standards of the other teams, but it'll give them some game time. But you're right, the intensity is not there in training as it is in games. We all know that, and there's different factors, like the mental factor that comes into it that you don't get in training, So he does need to get games. He does need to get them up to a level of fitness, which, for example, that I did some sessions with him, and that was one thing that I noticed right away. The fitness levels were not there, but that was a while ago. So he has had them since then. So lots of things for him to consider, but you're right what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we'll have to see, because, we'll have to see in what way they prepare, because there's no way for us to know. We don't know what they're planning. I know they're planning something. I'm pretty sure they'll have to plan, in addition to that game we spoke about, many others. I would suggest as much as possible before it comes, because that's just pretty much a couple of weeks away. And the first game is against Guyana, and they're going to try to, just like us, want to start off on a positive foot. So we have a tendency in recent years with Trinidad and Tobago's, we haven't won much, and, the confidence is really low. And I think that win against a team like Guyana would really give us, a good injection of confidence that we'll need to get to this. Now, I think fans and a lot of people may have to put their expectations in check I think oftentimes, I see the comment sections, a lot of people are like, oh, well, we should beat this team and we should beat that team. And, when we lose, they're all shocked. But the fact is we are not in great shape. Our infrastructure is even, it's in a state of transition, and it's basically ground zero and we're rebuilding. So this is basically from this point forward, we'll see how it goes. And, it's I've spoken about Dennis Lawrence and, Stephen Hart and, Tom as well. And I have to say, out of all the coaches, I have to say he's probably had the worst conditions, so far. Whether you like him or not, that's irrelevant. The conditions are insane for any coach. You're a coach, normalization committee, a world pandemic has shut down everything. That's quite a challenge. That's quite a challenge. And, I don't know about you, because for those of you who don't know, James has played a little football before, folks. The former Scottish man himself, so he knows what he's talking about. The goalkeeping area. I'm going to be specific now. You mentioned Marvin Phillip. We also have, I think, Adrian Fonset were usually the two mainstays before Jan left. In terms of game time for goalkeepers, we always speak about the all-field players. But, I mean, these guys probably even have it a bit more difficult because, you can still probably simulate some not, ideal conditions for the players, but goalkeepers need, some sort of playing time and some sort of action. And, this scenario is all worrying, So what do you think? How do you think Terry's going to solve that? I mean, your best guess.
Well, interestingly enough, I got to work with the goalkeepers, a few months back. Had some nice sessions with them. It's a difficult situation because, as you know, goalkeeping is much concentration, organisation. There's a lot of the mental side of the game involved in goalkeeping. Now, yes, you can train, you can do shot stopping, technique, ball work, all that's fine. But again, you have to be playing games. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only goalkeeper is Nicholas in Norway that's getting game time at the moment, Mm-hmm. I know Marvin's back, so he's been training with the local guys. You've got Adrian there. You've got the goalkeepers from Army that are there as well. So they're training, but they're not getting games, and this isn't my concern. So I think it's going to be a hard one for Terry, but I think he may pick one of the goalkeepers that's playing, which would be obviously Nicholas in Norway. And then I think I saw something this week. There's a goalkeeper playing in MLS, if I'm not mistaken, who has Trinidad roots. And I know there's been a lot of talk about him. Can't remember his name because, as I say, he only popped up really this year. So again, maybe these guys, because they're getting game time, may get the nod. But I mean, he's got a good choice. I mean, as I say, Marvin's an excellent goalkeeper. I think Marvin really set himself up. Those games a few years ago, he was phenomenal. He really kept Trinidad in it when they were really going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And I think Adrian's done very well. He's had an excellent run of games with Police. He's had some national games. I mean, he played under Tom, obviously, as well. So, I mean, there's good options there. And then, as I say, there's the younger guys. As I say, there's the goalkeepers that are at Defence Force. So, I mean, he's got options, but I really think he'll probably go with Nicholas Frederick. I can't even pronounce his last name because it's the Norwegian part, but I think he may go with him or one of the guys that's playing abroad.
Okay. And it's not Greg Ranjitsingh, it's someone else.
No, it's another one. I mean, because Greg's another option, but I mean, yeah. I think because Trinidad haven't really called on Greg, makes me think that is he going to switch to play for Canada? Because if I'm not mistaken, he's also Canadian, and I don't know if he played for Trinidad. So I think it seems to me as if he kind of got forgotten about in a sense,
Yeah, I mean,
it's an interesting one.
This raises another issue, if you're a player that has dual nationalities, and unfortunately, looking at our situation, it has to be said that, if you're a player, you have to be cautious about wanting to commit to Trinidad and Tobago because, people can question their patriotism and so on. But, you're a player, you're young, you want to represent a country, but you're looking at the setup and thinking, oh my God, things are a mess, I could understand some skepticism, and it would be a shame because, players like Greg and so on, and I'm guessing many others would be good additions. And it's tricky for a goalkeeper in particular because it's not like goalkeeping positions are rotated a lot. Usually it's three guys, and very rarely there's much rotation, which includes the third guy. So, that is a situation. I mean, like, look at the John Bostock situation. I was really excited when it looked like he was going to play for Trinidad and Tobago. And then, well, who knows what happened? That's a mystery. You fans out there, you can let me know in the comment section, your thoughts on that, because lots of people are asking me, and the truth is I don't know. 1 minute he was there, and then I kept hearing these bizarre, things like, his passport was missing and whatever, and it just seemed like administrative errors. So it seems. I don't know. I wasn't there. But it's probably premature to say this, and it's probably impossible to guess. But how do you think Trinidad is going to do overall? I mean, it's kind of difficult to say no, but I mean, if you had to guess,
I think we will just scrape it. I mean, I don't think it'll be easy. I think we've had a lot of things against us, and I think I suppose they say in football you want a little bit of rub of the green, and I think we might just get that. I don't want to say luck, because I think we have a lot of quality there if we're able to use it.
Yeah.
And I think we all know Terry's a good coach. There's no doubt about that at all. So I think we will definitely come through this section. I think it'll be tough. How far we go after that, again, all depends on the conditions for the national programme, the funding and everything that we've talked about in the past. So I do think we will come through this, but just.
Yeah, I may be the dark cloud over the positivity, but I actually think, you know what, it's tough for me to say, because my analytical nature, I deal with numbers, it drives me crazy. I hate guessing, but I think, and maybe this is sitting on the fence, maybe I'm being a chicken and sitting on the fence, but I think the first game will decide if we make it or not. I think Trinidad and Tobago has a tendency where mentally, and I'm guessing Terry may be addressing this, if we don't start well, we have a tendency to kind of, crumble under the pressure. But I think if we start well, then we'll scrap and fight our way in. And as you said, it may be a hard-fought, scrappy way to get there, but I think we will. But I think it all comes down to that first game. I think that first game will decide how we go, because I think for some reason, in recent years, when we started to get loss after loss after loss, there's an unfortunate stigma that Terry has to try and fix, I guess, as a new coach coming in, where he has to break that cycle with the conditions that we mentioned before. And I think he's more than capable of doing it. I think I've been looking at little videos I think they've been posting up and speaking to a couple players and, just observing what he's doing. And I think we have a chance. I would never go say, we're not going to make it. But I think there's one thing that I would consider. I mean, I remember watching Guyana a few years ago, and they had the guy Neil Dance, and he really drove them forward. He was. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he played centre midfield, defensive mid. He broke up all the play, and he, to me, was the one player that he gave everything for Guyana. I heard recently that he took up a coaching job in England, I think. So because of that, and because of the lack of him, I think that'll give obviously Trinidad a huge benefit. But we know there's a lot of players of Caribbean descent all over the world, and I'm sure Guyana's Brazilian coach now, which I think they have, has probably found other players to take their place. But I think he will be a huge loss, and I think he could be, in a sense, the difference, the fact that we don't have him could give us a huge boost. Yeah, and not to be disrespectful to the other teams, I think one of the things that we have going for us, and this is me trying to be ultra positive here, is that I think Trinidad and Tobago, for the first time in a while, are aware that we are not in good shape. I think for a while there was an element of arrogance there, and I think it's still there with a lot of people in the circles, not the players, but there was an element of arrogance that we should be winning these games. I think it gave us as a nation a sense of, superiority that was misplaced for a long time. And I think the brutal honesty that we are not in a good place actually is probably a blessing in disguise, where they can be honest with themselves. And, I worked, near Terry and seen how he's worked before. And I think he's not the kind of guy who will let them get complacent. He'll be like, listen, we need to work hard for every game. We are no longer a superpower, but in his way, of course. That's why he's the coach and I'm not. But I think that may work in our favor. So, I mean, that was my long-winded answer about if we're going to make it, but, the analytical side of me can't ever answer in a straightforward way. So, folks, you can let us know what you think in the comment section below, because this is a very interesting topic. We don't have much points of reference to speak about because we haven't played any competitive football for a very long time. It feels like forever. And, that's our first game to look forward to. We'll pay attention and see, how it's going to be broadcast. If by then, if people follow what they're supposed to do and social distancing, maybe we may be allowed into the stadiums. Who knows? That's good motivation for you guys and gals who like to wear masks and wash your hands and social distance. If we just keep it together, it'll go away, So hopefully that works, James. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the group. What do you think about our preparations so far, for those of you who don't know?
And what do you think about Andre's jumper? Yeah.
And what do you think about my crazy jumper? I've gone crazy today, James. I've gone for the flair today. Flamboyant.
It looks good. It looks good. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and the mystery of this bandage. What caused this? Comment in the comments.
Well, maybe that could be a comment. Yeah, that's a good one. What happened to Andre?
Yes. Did he slip on a banana peel? Did someone throw something at him? Who knows? The winner gets actually, person who gets the right answer, I'll have a draw, and like we always do, they'll get a copy of FIFA 21. So, motivation. That's what you guys are going to do. Yes, so we're being crazy, folks. Crazy sweaters, crazy giveaways. That's what we're doing. So we're heading into the festive season. James and I are going to do lots of episodes, and also to add to all these crazy things that we're doing, we're having a fun league amongst ourselves. We mentioned it before in a previous video, where myself, James Baird, James Saunders, Carrie Pay of Trinidad Knight Riders, Jordan Riley, Intercal standout who's now in the US, and a couple other people as well from the Cambo Play Foundation as well. Going to play a fun little league in FIFA, and we'll see who comes out on top. And the winner will try to gather as much funds and giveaways as possible, which will be donated to a charity, a kids' home in Gaspro, an area which I live. So everyone can join in, give the banter, support who you want to support. It doesn't matter. The whole point of it is that whoever wins, it goes for a good cause. And it's all about giving. We're in tough times, so let's try to help people out, folks. James, how do you think, how are your preparations going for this tournament?
Well, as you say, I'm a kind of a noob, as they say, as my son would say to me. But I won my first game online, I think, this last week. So I'm getting better. I think I can take James Saunders. We have a good banter, the two JMBs. So we'll see how that goes. But as long as I don't finish bottom of the section, I'll be pretty happy, I think.
Yes. And as we're saying this, we'll probably have a knockout competition as well. We'll have like a EXTV Cup. So even though when the league is done, we'll have a chance for glory. You never know what happens in one-off matches. So you heard that, James Saunders. The Scottish gauntlet has been dropped, thrown in your face. So, folks, that's going to be happening soon. So pay attention. We'll be giving you weekly updates with the guys. You could join in and banter. And if you want to support, head over to our Instagram page and email us. And you could let us know what donations you'd like to give to those kids. It doesn't matter. It's to help and give people, some happiness that has been, missing for a lot of people. So that's all we're trying to help and having some fun as well. So once again, folks, this is Andrew Soklal, and I'm joined by James Baird. James, where can we find you? I know you're not a big fan of social media.
Facebook under my name, and that's about it.
All right. So, if you have any...
So if they're lucky to get me on Facebook, there you go.
James is like a unicorn, folks, mythical. If you see him, you're lucky. But if you have any questions for James and myself, like I said multiple times, be sure to like, subscribe, share. It really helps the channel a lot. And comment. Again, because we really appreciate your feedback, because you all have a lot of say in how we do the show. It's not like the other places where you kind of just take what you get. You can literally tell us what you want. We listen to everyone. How many people can boast that? I can tell you that much. So, like I said, it's always a pleasure. James, thank you very much. And everyone, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes with Shaka Hislop, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.